And now to the Interstate Bridge Replacement Project. If you're not familiar and you don't live in Southwest Washington or travel across the bridge to Oregon very often, recent estimates for the project over the Columbia River, this is the bridge that connects Washington to Oregon, have dramatically increased. And the timeline has been pushed way out. And they also recently said tolls are going to have to start way before we ever have a new bridge to drive across. So while we're still in waiting for the federal government to kind of sign off on some of the record of decision stuff that has to happen before we get matching federal funds, the states of Washington and Oregon are moving ahead with this project. Now, last month, leaders gave this update on the mega project. Yesterday, there was an opportunity for folks to kind of get an update for the Washington Transportation Commission. But I want to show this to you first. You might have missed this, but I interviewed Representative John Lee, who is Republican from Vancouver. He's been very vocal in criticizing this project from the beginning. And recently, more recent design plans and current design plans have light rail across the bridge. He says it's completely unnecessary, not justified on ridership numbers, and is a large part of the reason that we have a ballooning price tag for this. So he's been very critical of putting trains across this bridge. He says it's completely unnecessary. So here's part of my conversation with Representative John Lee.
So this is a light rail project in search of a bridge. As we have discussed before, Portland's TriMet is going bankrupt. They need a bailout, and if they can get billions of federal money, it helps them delay the inevitable. Last night at C-Tran, they also got a briefing on ridership. C-Tran, Clark Transportation Bus Company, is the only transit over the Columbia River into Portland, and they told the board 2,200 people a day. In reality, that's 2,200 boardings, and that is the two bridges, I-5 and I-205. On the I-5 corridor, it's about 1,500 boardings, which means they're taking about 750 people out of their cars because a person will board twice a day, once in the morning going to work and once in the evening coming back. So with 750 people a day, my gosh, anybody with common sense says you support that with 3 or 4 buses. In the morning, 3 or 4 buses. In the evening, you got it. And if you need a double articulated bus, like Sound Transit has for some of their express service in Seattle, hey, great. You put the articulated double buses that hold 100 people a pop, and you run those.
So on Tuesday, Carly Francis, who is the interim program manager for the IBR project, gave that update to the Washington Transportation Commission. The theme to me seemed to be her saying, nothing unusual here to have a mega project of this size pushed way out and done in phases, because that's what the new plan is. We're going to have, this chunk done, this chunk done, this chunk done, but we're going to be tolling at the outset to make sure we can pay for all these subsequent phases of the project to be complete.
Folks may have heard that we've recently, back in March, we issued a new cost estimate, and related to the fact that we see cost estimates going up significantly in many places, it's important to note that mega programs are regularly phased to deliver them. It's not unique to IBR. You folks are very familiar with 520 and other programs in Washington. There are examples in Oregon and across the country that does allow us to align funding and workforce and manage those construction impacts. As we issued the new cost estimate, we also were making sure folks were understanding that the state agencies are committed to working on that 5-mile project over time. There is a significant volume of work here, really is critical to start at the river and build out from there. This is an example of some previous packaging of that work that was anticipated. We have been making tweaks to that. But again, we are committed to working that 5 miles, and this 5 miles is the subject of the environmental impact statement process that we are looking to conclude soon. The cost estimate update that was issued in March did increase costs. We were previously out of a 2022 estimate at a cost estimate of $5 billion to $7.5 billion, with a likely cost of $6 billion. That was at a 60% probability. This is the traditional CEDA process that you folks are familiar with. That 60% is the typical planning figure that WashDOT was using at the time. The updated cost estimate does increase the cost from 13.5 to 15.2 billion, with a likely cost of 14.4.
Now, toll rates are not yet finalized. The numbers I've seen vary on a one-way trip across the bridge, anywhere from like $1.55 up to $4.50 per trip, depending upon time of day and traffic volumes. If you live here in Washington, you well know that toll rates can vary dramatically based on time of day. I think there's stretches of 167 in the hot lanes where it's like $15 to get into those lanes at busy times of day. So I have a feeling these numbers may be changing as we get closer to actually the implementation of tolls. So that is it for today's episode of Washington in Focus Daily. Check out our Center Square Washington page for these stories and more. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow.